I'm going to set it to record. I always forget to record it, which is
Oh,
okay. Let me see if we can use that.
oh, you go out?
Okay, now I'm here.
Okay.
Let's see. I'm still learning how to get everybody on these things. Okay. How are you doing tonight? It's like a storm cloud behind you there.
Oh yeah, I got you. We out here. I'm killing two birds with one stone. I guess I'm watching my son's football game. We're trying to figure we're actually going to play or not because we got a little cloud. We got a whole lot of cloud there
Where are you?
in Greenwood, South Carolina.
How far east is that? I'm not sure where Greenwood is.
You know where Anderson is, Anderson,
Yes.
South Carolina.
Yes. Okay. Close to there.
Okay, not far from there, about 45 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, the weather is the big topic here too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're talking about this hurricane actually coming through Charlotte like Hugo did. It looks
Oh
like it's
wow.
more likely to go to Raleigh, but still, it's kind of disconcerting. Plus, my family owns a condo at Riceville Beach, which is where Jim Cantori is today, which is never a good sign when the hurricane is in your
Oh,
town. So we'll see what the weekend brings, I guess.
all right. We're certainly praying during this season, that's for sure.
Okay. Well, thank you. I had Pamela and Candace, and don't see me there.
Hello?
Hey, Pamela, how you doing?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. This is Candy.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm trying to get everybody turned on here. There you go. Yes.
Hello.
Candace
My name's Pamela.
and Pamela, but no, Pamela and Candace don't have pictures, so as far as I know, you're nameless, faceless people. Okay, there's Pamela. I'm starting to get a little vague, kind of ghost-like shape there. And Candace is driving a car, so I can see a steering wheel. And big glasses. And long earrings. Okay.
Wow.
We'll give it a couple more minutes and we'll get started here. Appreciate y'all joining me tonight, and there's so much in the air. So many things going on. Did you, when you guys started this program, did you have a CC1 visit at your house or at your school?
At our school, yes.
Yeah. Okay. That's see, I do that too.
Oh, what kind of visit?
A CC1 came to your school.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, probably Dr. Lamb, but it could have been Dr. Zion's. Anyway.
That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, I do that too, and I have the middle of South Carolina because being in Charlotte, it's fairly quick to get to Rock Hill and southwest from there. So I've been doing that the last 2 days too. Kind of set me behind some preps. Just going to look at this schedule then. It's 5:59. I promised I wouldn't start till 6. I did press the record button, which is always a big deal for me because for some reason I have a mental block and I always end up with nothing to say. Okay, there's somebody else. Someone with no name. Okay. Is everybody hearing my voice okay without too much feedback?
It sounds better.
Okay, I had complaints last week about feedback, so I'm trying to balance this out. Is it still too much though?
I can hear you pretty clear.
Okay. Anybody else weigh in on that?
It's still a little bit of feedback, but it's better. I can understand you.
I'm gonna dial back one more. See if that's any better. I can hear you guys too, which is a good thing. Because last week I couldn't hear you. Okay. So some people get names and some people don't. Okay. Okay, 6:01. We're going to go on and start then. I probably won't hold you more than 30 minutes most nights we have class, but it's important that we get together and go over stuff. We're on going over to the weekly schedule. We're on week 3. I'm going to approach what grade principals do differently tonight. I'm also going to go over the 8 theories of leadership that I missed out on our first time together. You have your reading assignments. They are somewhat connected, but not completely. Remember, you only do one of the discussion boards for each week. You do either 5 or 6. You don't need to do both of them unless you're just fascinated or have a really strong opinion about one. And it's time for task 3 to come into our discussion board areas in the course shell in Blackboard. So if you're not pretty close to finishing task 3, that's actually the due date I think is listed as next Sunday or Monday. Then you're getting behind, and you guys who are doing this 3-semester thing can't afford to get behind if you haven't figured that out yet. So anyway, just want to keep you on task on that. Did everybody get the outline that I sent out regarding the setting these things up for CAT? Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody find it useful, wrong? Any feedback on that at all?
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's I actually bounced that off one of the evaluators who said it looked like it covered everything. So hopefully it'll protect you from anything. Sometimes it seems kind of like you're doing the same thing over and over and over again, which probably you are. But you can cut and paste when you get to those parts of time. Okay, so that's our schedule this week. Zoomtopia. I'm not going to that for sure. Let's see. Okay. I pushed record. Okay. The 8 theories of leadership. This goes back centuries in some cases. I think it's important that you look at it and figure out where you lie on the belief system here, because there's a lot of ways to look at it. The first one, the most famous, the one that the world worked on for, the Western world worked on for many, many years, was the great man theories. Where great men are born, they're not made. They're part of the royal family, they're part of the military hierarchy. There's a big emphasis on nature over nurture. It was about who your daddy was and who his daddy was as to how good you were done. It was based in military history. I think, I'm just going to jump to my opinion, I think it's sexist and racist most of the time because it's built on the concept of royal rights to be in charge of things. So, anybody else want to weigh in on that subject at all? What's your opinion of the great man theory? You guys are all self-chosen leaders. I mean, we don't give a leadership test before you start. You've for some reason decided that you are a leader. I have no reason to doubt your opinion, but you should know why. Was it I mean, I remember the first day I ever walked in a school teacher break room, and someone said, "Oh, you're going to be the principal." And I'm like, "What?" I'm shy. I'm retiring. I'm a counselor, but I'm also a male, and I'm also white, and I'm also really tall. And that was the hierarchy. I was the big guy around. They just assumed that I would become a principal. Certainly wasn't a great man theory at work. I promise you. Any others? Any opinions? Okay. The rest of them make a little more sense. One is a trait theory, which is also nature over nurture, but there's certain characteristics shared by leaders, like they can all yell loud, or there's something that some kind of trait that rises and shows itself to the world, and therefore we choose those people as our leaders. Any comments on strengths and weaknesses of the trait theories? What do you think? Does that make sense to you?
I think I was, when I was looking through that information, I thought it was pretty interesting that they broke down like the different traits and the different characteristics and said that, if you possess this, then you will more likely be a leader, or, I thought that was good.
Did you check yourself off?
I did.
Did you pass?
I did.
Now, I will say I hired teachers based on certain things, their opinion about their previous teachers and what as a child and what they remembered as being their best teacher. And I had one teacher, one candidate who said, the reason I'm going into teaching is because they were all terrible, and I think kids deserve better. He said, all the teachers that you ever had, yeah, they were awful. She turned out to be one of the great teachers I ever hired because she really believed that and made it work. Sometimes I think I'm more moved by memories of the worst principal I was an assistant principal for, who was truly horrible, than I am by the great principals that I was assistant principal for. Some of them are truly great. So I don't know. I don't know if there's a set characteristic that you can say, but there are certain traits that make people rise to the occasion, who bring things out in the open. Contingency theories. That's this is more of a what's needed at the moment is what rise to the top. It's a mixture of nature and nurture. It's the right guy or the right woman at the right time in the right place, and it just comes together then. Strengths or weaknesses? That one has some truth to it, I think. There are people in their principalships or their education admin youth careers who peak, show great results in a certain situation at a certain time and can't replicate it elsewhere. So you have to think that was the right person, the right place, at the right time, being successful. And we've all seen that. Certainly the whole drive to move the, quote, best teachers and best principals into low-performing schools. I suspect we run into the contingency theory pretty quickly, because to my mind it takes a different kind of approach than what actually happens in most of the so-called better schools of the world. Situational theories. This is one that we actually push at Gardner-Webb, where we choose our strategies based on our situation. Sometimes you got to tell people what to do. Sometimes you want to reach out and pull them in and get decisions made that way. It's depending on whether some of your followers are good enough to be leaders or to do what needs to be done. Certainly a combination of nature and nurture again. Strengths and weaknesses of the situational theories in your mind. What's wrong with that? Let me phrase it a different way. Can you be as good as an authoritarian leader as you can be a democratic leader, depending on which one you believe and follow the most? Can you switch from one to the other? Have you seen people switch effectively from one to the other?
I think people can switch.
You can too. I found, now this is my opinion about my life as a principal, I found I could switch, but I was certainly better in one than the other. I'm not a great authoritarian by any means, although sometimes you just have to make up your mind and do something. But it was always my first inclination to go Democratic, whatever I did. The behavioral theories are complete old-fashioned behavior theory of learning. Anyone can be taught the skills and behaviors. It just requires that someone teaches you how to do it. What's wrong with that? What's right with that? I mean, hopefully you believe you can learn new stuff or you wouldn't be in here.
Mm.
So there's some truth to that we can learn. Can you think of someone on your school staff who there's no way there's no way they could lead a school, no matter who their teacher was? Just nod your head yes. That's got to be several people. Participative theories, which tends to be what I go with, uses the input of others, believes that democratic leadership is always the best. When does that go wrong? You've all seen it. I certainly saw it, and I believe in it. When does it go wrong?
When does democratic leadership go wrong?
What's that again? I'm sorry.
I'm saying you're asking when does democratic leadership go wrong?
Yeah.
I think it goes wrong when there's a sure decision that has to be made and it has to be made quickly.
Yep.
I think that might be an issue. I mean, you as a leader have to stand up and say, hey, listen, this is what we're going to do. We just have to follow this track. Because if you wait around, then you get to the thing Dr. Martin Luther King talks about, the paralysis of analysis. You analyze this thing until we kill it and nobody does anything.
Absolutely truth. My first principal that I was an assistant principal for said, Mark, so whatever you do, make a decision. When they ask you to make a decision, you can always go back and change it. But if you get a reputation as someone who can't make a decision, no one will believe anything that you ever did. And he was true with that. Absolutely. Management theories are more about the role of supervision. The organization is stressed. There's several discussion board questions about the difference between leadership and supervision. I think you'll read more about this than you probably want to hear any more about. And the final one is relationship. It's all about the relationship between you and your followers. Focuses on inspiration. We talked a little bit about this last week with Good to Great. You're in a profession that leads people to find meaning in their lives. And you have the opportunity to use that inspiration to motivate and to move people along. So it's an important part of things, but where can that go wrong? Where does the relationship theory go wrong sometimes? If that's what you follow. The answer to that will be in our second part tonight. Okay. Any questions about the eight questions or comments about the 8 theories?
I'm sorry, Dr. Robinson, there's a lot of feet. I can hardly hear you.
Okay, so you can hardly hear me. Let's see what happens then. How's that? Is that any better?
I think it's some feedback coming from another person's phone that's not on mute.
Let's see.
Or computer.
It might be a football game.
Yeah, it sounds like a game with.
Yeah, I think we got getting your football game in the background.
Let me see if I can.
I'm gonna kill you. Sorry, you're out. Okay. If you raise your hand, you can come back. How's that, everybody?
Yeah, that's better. Thank you, Nathaniel.
That's what happens when you try to multitask as a guy. Everything that you're multitasking with is loud, so you can't do it. Okay. Anyway, any questions or comments about any B8 leadership theories? Thinking back, why did you decide you were a leader and wanted to lead? Do you remember?
For me, I think the decision came into play when I experienced some things that I wanted to see changed in education, but I didn't have the ability, or I didn't have the title to go along to make those changes happen. And
Okay.
sometimes, thinking back also, I've been exposed to some leader, like sometimes where leadership that I was under leadership that I thought was, I couldn't understand it at the time. Now being in more of a leadership role, I understand why certain decisions were made, but I still think that there's a way to go about different different tactics to help your followers to follow behind you versus fear, or okay, test scores aren't up, or different things like that nature. So I want to see a difference with the leadership. So that's one of the factors that played a role in me wanting to become a leader.
What do you think of the Great to Good or Good to Great author's contention that we have the opportunity to use inspiration because what we do has meaning, more meaning than say stock?
I agree. Say that again.
More meaning than say a stockbroker in New York who makes 10 times our salaries.
I do think that what we do has very much a role or meaning there, and also I think it comes into play when you think about how to I was looking at one of the questions, and I hesitated to answer because that was one of the things that I'm trying to figure out now. It was talking about how do you motivate your teachers to do the change or to succumb to change. And I think that's the major thing that I'm dealing with right now at my particular school, is how to it gets a little frustrating at times when you're trying to figure out ways to motivate teachers to do different things and try different ways at their approaches. So I agree that, what we do is great work, and there is the chance to get them motivated. I do think that it's tough at times to drive that motivation.
It was easier to motivate me at 10 years experience than it was at 25.
Right.
I mean, you start looking at the downhill slide, and you start to look forward to different things, and it's definitely true. Okay.
Right. And one of the things that we're doing too is we took on a different role with professional development. So part of my internship, my principal challenged me to find a different way to do professional development. So at our school, we do more of, I created a conference type session to where it's differentiated for the teachers. So that way they can actually get what they want. They can get what they think that they need, as far as there was a session on STEAM, making your classroom more STEAM. There was a session on ELA, like best practices in ELA. There was a session on using Google Classroom in your classroom, and the teachers got the opportunity to pick. And I think we're seeing a transition and a shift in the mindset of our teachers there at the school. But I think what we're also dealing with is just like what you said too, is there's a lot of teachers that have been teaching there for 25 years. That being said, when they teach, they're like, hey, I've done this way, it's worked. Sometimes change is hard, but I do think that teachers are more willing to do it because they like their first session, and it's once a month that they get to choose these afternoon sessions. So I think that is going to be a positive change for our school.
Let me recommend a book to you. Oh. We're going to work with this later on in the semester. But The Adult Learner, have you seen this one?
The moment, the adult learner. The adult learner.
Yeah, The Adult Learner by Malcolm Knowles, Knowles. And it's all about the different needs of how adults have different needs to learn than do children. And we'll talk about it in several weeks, but you might as well get a hold of it and start using it since that's the direction you've been challenged. It's probably the best thing going in adult ed.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And thank you. Anybody else have any questions or comments? The 8 theories of leadership. When did you decide you were going to be a leader? What was it that tipped you over the edge? That you suddenly thought you'd like to be that crazy person in the principal's office? Because I will tell you, it's the best of jobs and the worst of jobs, just like Charles Dickens said. It is hard work, but it's absolutely fulfilling as you'll ever see. Okay, let's see if our second. The second one. What Great Principals Do Differently by Todd Whitaker. Now, a bunch of you probably use Todd Whitaker in your APTEL assignment. What Great Teachers Do Differently, 14 whatchamahoodles of how great teachers do this. It's pretty standard practice. Itter Marzano almost always shows up in the APTEL papers. But he also researched Great Principles, and this guy does really thorough work. If you ever get a chance to hear him or see him, go take advantage of it. And who was talking about, we were talking about hiring and getting people doing and doing the right stuff. He is the guru of that. And he's the one who follows up with Jim Collins on the idea of get the right people on the bus. In other words, hire great teachers and then nurture them. Okay? Tip on that matter, the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. Set your interviews up so you figure out that. It's way more important than if I sit and say you're applied to be my assistant principal and I ask questions about the theories of curriculum and theories of leadership and et cetera, and you just finished school so you know the answers to all those things. But what I didn't ask you was how you interact with students at school and how you would have said, well, I think they're to be seen but not heard. And I would have learned then that I really didn't need you on my team. Because it's what you did in the past is going to be pretty similar to what you're going to do in the future. The other thing about hiring is you do not settle. Now this is hard. It's the first day of school tomorrow. You don't have an 8th grade teacher. You're interviewing this guy. This is a true story. You're interviewing this guy who you know is hopeless, who is going to just get killed at a tough Title I middle school in Charlotte. He's a dead man walking, but you need someone in the room tomorrow because otherwise you got to sub. And I hired him. It was a mistake. It was a big mistake. It was worse than we could have imagined how bad he was. So don't settle. Make them wait. Even no matter what your school setting is, if you're Title I, and we all know it's harder to staff, but make sure you get the right people with the right motivation. Get them in the right place. And do not ever pass the trash. Someone applies for a transfer in your school district or out of your school district. Don't tell them that they did a great job if they didn't, because it will come back to haunt you one day. Any questions about those simple rules? Todd Whitaker is all about getting the people in the classrooms in the right positions who teach kids, because with the day you walk into administration, you don't teach anymore. You won't teach anybody anything about reading, writing, or arithmetic. Nothing at all. So you got to have the right people. Figure out who your high achievers are. They're not interested. You guys are probably all high achieving teachers. You aren't content to just know what you know. Okay. You know that as soon as you start saying I'm great, that you started sliding into mediocrity. It's a constant striving forward to learn more and more and more. Not necessarily to add the newest hit program, but to learn what you need to know about different aspects of teaching that affect your life. It is crucial, and thank you for, I'm sorry, I don't know names at all, and I don't see them on the screen. But thanks for your comments about teaching the teachers and making the workshops fit them, because it's absolutely focused. First thing you got to do is work on behavior, because belief follows that. Belief is easy to say, I believe in this or I believe in that. Behavior is what you need to see in the classroom. This is also a tough one. Make your decision based on your best teachers, not your worst teachers. Think about the worst teachers on staff. You know who it is. You got her or him in mind. And you know that the administration listens to their belly aching and whining and griping way too much and backs off on things instead of goes after what you, as one of the high-powered teachers, would like to be doing. Happens over and over and over. You can't let poor teachers be the most comfortable people in your school. It is, and again, sometimes the loudest voice makes you want to do that, but you got to go with the people who really know what they do. The one with the most motivation, the one with the most drive, the one who fit into your vision of the school the best. The people who are on the hot seat ought to be those with the least motivation and drive. They should know that you're interested in them pursuing employment elsewhere, if that's the case. Who should loyalty be to as a principal? To your administrative team, to your teachers, to your parents, to your students? Who should it be?
All of them.
All of them. That's a good answer. May disagree or think one outweighs the others?
I think that you're in a unique position to support your teachers. And it's important. You have to help your students and support your parents, but only the administrators is in that position with the knowledge to help their teacher.
Okay. And they're also the people who are doing the most important work in the school, which is teaching. So you want to support them and do the best, which should do the best for your students as well. Todd Whitaker makes the big point that standardized tests are not the reason we teach. They're imperfect measures that have been imposed from the outside. Yes, we recognize them, but if that's all we do, we'll be manipulating kids' lives in the interest of numbers rather than in the interest of kids. We teach for a lot of reasons. Why? Why do you teach? I'm gonna wait you out. I'll bet you most of the women played school as kids, and knew from being a little girl they were going to be a teacher. It's a little different for guys. You've run through it through coaching or whatever. Usually, it starts a long time ago. Oops.
I think I really teach because I like building the relationship with kids. I kind of like the mentorship piece more than the actual instruction piece. I think as teachers, we get so caught up in teaching our curriculum and, we have to manage our classrooms and all that. But I really value the relationships, the connections that I make with the kids, to be able to, you know, have them come to me and not just talk about the content, but talk about life and, you know, things that, you know, they could do to better their lives and better their situation. So I really like the mentorship piece better than the actual, you know, instructional piece. That's why I do it.
Okay. That's certainly an excellent reason. Any others? I ran into one of my old students this past weekend. It was really nice.
My mom, Papa, yeah, that's only her.
Okay. Let's move on. The other thing that Todd Whitaker stresses is that when you're the principal, you're the responsible person. Nobody else is. When you start blaming the first grade team for blowing it, everyone loses respect for you. If you're the boss, take credit for what you do on the bad side. You're probably better off to not take it on the good side and lay it off on the staff. You have an attack or something. I think it's good. Aha. Okay. The other story I heard years ago was actually from someone in my graduate department. The principal is the pooper scooper. He's the guy or she's the woman who keeps the poop from downtown to get into their staff and keeps the poop from their staff from ever getting downtown. My mentor said that's a complete description of what a principal needs to know how to do. He said that was tongue in cheek. But whatever, take responsibility for outcomes. When they're bad, they're your fault. They're not anybody else's fault because you're the person in charge. Be responsible. And that wraps tonight. Any questions about Todd Whitaker or how it relates to Jim Collins or how it relates to 8 Theories of Leadership? Okay. And what's due this week?
I just have a quick question.
Sure.
I'm pretty sure you know that about the hurricane and stuff, and I'm trying to use this time wisely to get caught up with work. Are you a little bit flexible? Because I don't know if we're going to be out of power or. Okay, I'm getting everything in. I'm gonna be working tonight to get leave off.
I think I said last week the due dates are there for you. They're not for me.
Okay.
I want you to have great stuff.
Okay.
2 weeks before in time to turn it all in.
Yes, sir.
But if we keep on a schedule, that's in your best interest. No, I'm well aware of the weather. I lived through Hugo and Charlotte one time. I'm not interested in doing it again. And it's one of the scenarios we're talking about. Plus, my family owns a condo at Riceville Beach, which is where Jim Cantori of the Weather Channel, the hurricane guy, is there right now reporting. So that's always a bad sign, too. So, yeah,
Yes.
I understand. Absolutely, completely. Safety comes first and work follows after that.
Okay. Yes, sir.
We do have an end of the semester due date, though, so
Okay.
we won't be able to change that.
Okay.
Any other comments, questions? Oh, I've had over and over. You can put in the way the Dropbox is built for the CAP assignments. It says your draft and a peer review. Put a peer review there that you did for somebody else. Don't wait. You don't have to wait for your colleague to get it for you because I want you to be in charge of making sure you meet that grade. So once you've done your peer review for whoever, for CAP 1 or 2, put it into that box so I can give you full credit for it. Okay? Any other issues that have arisen in class? I don't think so. Stop sharing. I'm going to end the meeting. You guys have a great week. Everybody stay safe and stay dry and try not to get blown away.
You too.
Thank you. You too.
Oops.